Welcome back to the First Case Expert series, where we are talking with Jeff Wertz, our perioperative instrument coordination expert. I'm your host, Melanie Perry, and in today's conversation, we are continuing our look at some different perspectives within our healthcare organizations. And today, we're going to be addressing the perspective of the OR manager. So tell me, Jeff, what is this perspective and what is it that they're looking at?
Yeah, well, and what we're really trying to do is bring a business case to them. So in the previous discussions, we've gone through how we're going to go through and start, collecting information or looking at what we want to focus on as a department, what your team is going to focus on, and how we're going to begin the process of collecting information and data around that. But now it's taking this to that OR manager or whoever's running your perioperative department and creating a presentation that's going to catch their attention and get their buy-in in driving whatever initiative that you're looking to push forward, whether that be a technology solution or tools that you need to have in place, or even hardware that you want to get acquired. It's really understanding their unique perspective, and what we're providing here is kind of a blueprint for a couple items that you want to take into account that most every OR manager would be interested in. So those top three at the beginning would be the operational efficiency. So how is what you're proposing going to help with the operational efficiency of the department overall? Patient safety and quality outcomes, looking at how it's impacting the patient over time, how it's going to help improve those outcomes, because ultimately that's what everyone is there for. And then lastly, looking at how is this going to impact our day-to-day workflow? So what's the implementation of this hardware or this solution look like? What is training and the continued utilization of this going to look like? And how is that going to impact your department moving forward from here? So we're going to try to break those down and get a little bit deeper into it. But curious from your perspective, Melanie, are those in line with what you're looking for? You're obviously the expert in managing the ORs, but anything that's missing from those?
Not really. I mean, obviously, we care very much about efficiency. We care about productivity, and we want to be as efficient as we can while also being as safe as we can. So patient safety and efficiency are those things that we hold, in each hand and balance on a regular basis. But then we also have to look at how easy is this to actually implement, because if it's hard and if staff don't buy into it, or if you can't get people to understand it or do it in a manner that is actually efficient, it's not going to take off. So it has to be easy to implement, easy to understand. And then also, we talked about this in the previous interview as well, also thinking as a second degree of, is this going to help us with any of our regulatory requirements? Is this going to benefit us from an additional standpoint outside of patient safety and efficiency? But if we can hit those patient safety and efficiency marks up there, that's definitely something that as an OR manager or as your director or your director of perioperative services, those are things that are going to catch their attention very quickly, because those are the things we're always looking at.
Yep, totally agree. And I think, we've said of efficiency a whole lot already to this point. And when we're looking at efficiency, that's ultimately coming down to numbers and being able to quantify and actually illustrate how long things are currently taking, what the process looks like, how many patients are going through, how much block time is used. There's all sorts of different markers that you can use to indicate efficiency. So this really presumes that your facility is moving forward with some of the initiatives that we've talked about earlier in the series of actually being able to go in and measure. Because if you aren't measuring, you aren't able to manage it and actually be able to illustrate that efficiency. So whatever the tool is that you're trying to bring in or the solution that you're trying to bring in, understanding how that is actually impacting things like, maybe scheduling, when we were talking about the connection with the EHR and surgeon preferences, things like that, that can get complex. At least picking out a couple of KPIs that you want to be monitoring or being able to impact and be able to communicate that to the OR manager so that you can explain what you're anticipating that impact being and how it's going to improve over time. because that is what everyone's looking for is to be able to bring more patients in and provide more quality care in less time. That's the name of the game in healthcare, and doing that very well can give you a significant advantage.
So the data really is what it comes down to. And a couple of your KPIs, or a couple of the KPIs that we are always looking at when it comes to data, are on-time starts, turnover times. Those like almost, it seems basic, right? Like, are we in the room on time? Are we starting our day on time? And are we turning over efficiently? And data is what's going to help us build our story, build our case for maybe extra instrumentation. I actually had to do that. I had to build that case for having more instruments for our orthopedic team because our volume had increased significantly, but our instrument trays had not kept up. And so now our turnover times and our how many times we were turning over instruments just in the course of one day so that we could keep going. All of those things added up, numbers on paper, to make the case for what we needed. But that ties into then our patient safety, because if I'm looking at how many times I'm turning instruments over every day just so that I can do a case, suddenly my patient safety and my quality outcomes are hinging on whether or not I can just keep a tray turned over. So patient safety is definitely connected to all of this as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great call out there too, and I think that that's really a lot of the opportunity in this space, in particular in the perioperative environment, is there are a couple key indicators that every OR is looking at. So you have them looking at on-time starts, block time usage. What are some of the other big ones that come to mind to you when you're talking KPIs for your OR?
Definitely, like I said, on-time starts, turnover times, block usage for sure. Even looking at some of our KPIs actually had to do with our instrument trays. Did we have holes in the wrap? Did we have,
quality?
Was there errors with any of those?
Yep.
No indicators or something like that.
Right.
And then also availability of supplies, even kind of tracking if we had what we needed for the case, if it was here on time, did it show up late? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, and I think that presents the opportunity, just like you said, of okay, we have OR time as a metric. How do we dig in a layer deeper to see what's impacting that metric? And I think that's where there's a significant opportunity in the perioperative space to address a lot of those underlying levers that are impacting the bigger numbers that the executive suite is looking at, and being able to convey how a solution or a product is going to be able to help you impact those numbers is the critical component of being able to make that connection between on-time start, quality, block time usage, being able to build that line to that metric and how it's going to impact it is critical. And I think, just building into that, like you already mentioned, looking at the errors and quality of the services being provided. So how is whatever you're bringing in going to overall impact the patient safety? So is it going to help you avoid regulatory issues that can come up and create even more delays in your ability to provide care to the patient, or financial impact due to any fines or anything that come from that, or even poor public relations because you have unsterile product going up and there's a news article about your facility. So a lot of those things come into play, and being able to convey how this solution coming in is going to help you avoid those and make the patient safer over time.
Yeah. And all of those things that are very easy, quote unquote, because you can put them on paper, you can actually track, and you can have the numbers to make your case. But there are also indirect things that we can't necessarily track as easily, but they also do influence all of this as well. What does our staffing look like? Do we really have enough people? Do we have the support staff that we need? And does our staff understand the technology that they're using? Do they understand and use it well, use it correctly so that it is efficiently moving along, right? Which then leads us really to your third point about things that we implement to make things better. Is what we're implementing actually making it better? And do our staff understand how to use it, right?
Yep, absolutely. And just to kind of touch on what you just spoke to a little bit further is, a lot of this information just isn't available currently. So bringing a solution that's going to help you illustrate those different levers is a significant value, and being able to explain how those tie in is critical. But then how implementing it into your system is going to not, detract from your day-to-day duty of providing the care to the patient. So what does implementing this look like on a day-to-day basis? Is it going to make you more efficient over time? Is it going to take a little bit more time up front for long-term savings of more efficiency down the road? Moving things to a digital space, it's going to take some transition for people getting used to that, going from pen and paper and what's been easy, but maybe not as reproducible or reliable for getting the right information. Down the road, making that early investment in making a transition to digital has long-term downstream effects of being able to have better data, better analytics around all those different levers that are being pulled, and also improve the quality of care that's being provided. So making sure that you're able to bring that up with your OR manager and discuss, you already have a plan in place. This is how implementation of this new product or service looks like. And this is how we're going to be trained up on it. This is how we're going to continue to maintain it, because it's easy to have a big goal, but what is the system that you have in place to make sure that it's consistently followed, because that's how you actually make a measurable difference in that department.
Exactly. And then you measure it and track it so that you can show that it is working. But then those things that we implement have a positive impact on our efficiency, on our patient safety and outcomes. And then we have kind of come full circle to where we started, with our ultimate goal of improving patient safety and having an efficient OR. That's all the time we have for today. Join us next time as Jeff talks about the IT perspective, and we're going to discuss the resource and technology requirements and the things that we might need to make our business case with IT. Thanks for watching this episode of the First Case Expert series.